Most people think a 5-day sardine challenge sounds harmless. Tiny fish, healthy fat, protein, maybe a little salty, sure, but basically safe. And that is exactly why this kind of experiment can fool you. Because if you're over 60 and you suddenly eat nothing but sardines for 5 straight days, your body can change fast. Some of those changes are surprisingly good. Some are deeply uncomfortable. And one of them is the exact opposite of what most people expect. Before we begin, please subscribe for clear health guidance that helps you protect your heart, your brain, and your independence. I'm Dr. Michael Joel, and today I want to walk you through what really happens if you eat nothing but sardines for 5 full days. Not social media fantasy, not miracle diet nonsense. I mean, what actually happens inside your body, step by step, day by day. Because sardines are one of the most nutrient-dense foods in the grocery store, but turning a healthy food into your only food is where things start to get complicated. And by the end of this video, you'll know the one problem that matters most. Hint, it isn't mercury. Let me start with Robert in Sarasota, Florida, because his story captures why this matters so much. Robert was 72, retired Navy, disciplined, practical, the kind of man who read labels with reading glasses on the end of his nose. He heard sardines were good for the heart, good for the brain, low in mercury, high in protein, and easy on the wallet. So he thought, why not simplify everything? Why not do a 5-day reset? Clean food, no sugar, no junk, just sardines. By the end of day 1, he felt proud. By the end of day 3, he felt strange. By day 5, he understood something most people never do. A superfood can still backfire when it becomes your entire menu. Now, before I tell you what changed first, you need to understand why sardines get such a powerful health reputation in the first place. They deserve a lot of it. Sardines are rich in protein. They carry omega-3 fats that support heart health. If you eat the soft bones, you also get calcium. You get vitamin D, vitamin B12, selenium, and other nutrients older adults often need more of, not less. And because sardines are small fish, lower on the food chain, they generally carry far less mercury than big fish like swordfish or certain types of tuna. So yes, sardines are impressive. That part is true. But the moment you eat nothing but sardines, the question changes. It's no longer, are sardines healthy? The question becomes, what happens when a healthy food crowds everything else out? And that is where the 5-day story begins. Because on day 1, your body doesn't care that the internet called this a hack. Your body cares about what just disappeared from your plate. The toast is gone, the oatmeal is gone, the banana is gone, the salad is gone, the beans are gone, the sweet potato is gone, and your metabolism notices immediately. Day 1 is usually about shock, not transformation. If you've been eating a normal American diet with bread, fruit, cereal, crackers, rice, or dessert, then suddenly switching to nothing but sardines means your carbohydrate intake drops hard and fast. That doesn't mean disaster, but it does mean your body starts using stored glycogen, the carbohydrate reserve held in your liver and muscles. And when glycogen falls, water falls with it. That is why some people see the scale drop quickly in the first 24 to 48 hours and think something magical is happening. Usually a big chunk of that early loss is water, not body fat. This is where people get fooled. They step on the scale the next morning, see 2 pounds gone, and suddenly they believe they discovered the fountain of youth in a pull-tab tin. But your body is not giving you a miracle. It's giving you chemistry. Less carbohydrate means less glycogen. Less glycogen means less stored water. Less stored water means a lighter number. That can feel exciting, especially if you've been struggling with weight or swelling. But excitement is dangerous when it makes you misread what your body is actually telling you. Robert noticed this too. On the morning of day 2, he was down nearly 3 pounds. He felt encouraged. He told his brother in Jacksonville, "This is working fast." But a few hours later, he also noticed he was thirstier than usual. His mouth felt dry. His energy felt uneven. He wasn't exactly weak, but he wasn't steady either. That combination matters, because when your body starts shedding water, you're also shifting fluids and electrolytes. And if all you're eating is canned fish, the balance can get strange fast, especially if you're already older, take blood pressure medication, or don't drink enough water. And that brings us to day 2, which is where the challenge often splits into 2 completely different experiences. Some people feel calmer and less hungry. Others feel flat, headachy, irritable, or mentally foggy. Why the difference? Because sardines are very filling. The protein and fat can crush appetite for a while. That's real. A lot of people feel fewer cravings when they stop bouncing between sugar and starch. But if your body was used to a steady stream of carbs, the transition can feel rough before it feels stable. So day 2 can bring surprising control over appetite, while also bringing a weird sense that your brain is running on low battery. Let me tell you about Elaine in Mesa, Arizona. Elaine was 69, widowed, fiercely independent, and always trying to stay ahead of her lab numbers. Her triglycerides had crept up. Her doctor had talked to her about cutting processed foods. So when she heard sardines were rich in omega-3s, she decided to go all in for 5 days. On day 2, she called her daughter and said, "The strangest part is I'm not hungry." But then she added something else. "I also don't feel normal." That matters. Because you can feel full and still not feel well. Satiety is not the same thing as balance, and older adults especially know the difference. By day 2, another subtle thing starts happening. Food boredom arrives. And food boredom sounds trivial until you understand how much it controls behavior. A single food repeated meal after meal changes how your brain responds to eating. At first, that can lower overeating. There's less stimulation, less snacking, less just one more bite. But very quickly, the emotional side of eating starts to push back. Meals stop feeling comforting. They stop feeling social. They stop feeling normal. And for older adults, that can matter more than younger people realize. Eating isn't only fuel. It's rhythm, memory, pleasure, routine. Sometimes it's one of the few dependable joys left in the day. Now let's move to day 3, because day 3 is where the hidden cost starts showing up in the bathroom. And yes, we need to talk about that directly. Fish contains no fiber. None. Sardines may bring protein, healthy fats, minerals, and vitamins, but fiber does not come with them. And when you remove fruits, vegetables, beans, oats, nuts, and whole grains for several days, your digestive tract notices. Some people don't become constipated right away, but bowel habits often change. Stools may become smaller, harder, or less frequent. Some people feel bloated. Others feel oddly heavy, even if the scale is lower. And that contradiction confuses people. This is where the biggest misunderstanding begins. Many people assume digestive trouble means the sardines are bad. Not exactly. The real problem is not what sardines are. The problem is what sardines are not. They are not fiber. They are not plant diversity. They are not the kind of food that feeds your gut bacteria the way beans, berries, greens, oats, and vegetables do. So if day 3 brings constipation, or that uncomfortable sensation that your system has slowed down, it doesn't mean sardines failed you. It means a one-food plan removed too much. And that distinction could save someone from making a very foolish conclusion. Robert hit this wall on day 3. He wasn't starving, he wasn't nauseated, but he started to feel backed up, sluggish, and unusually aware of his stomach. Not pain, just that heavy, unfinished feeling older adults know instantly. He also noticed something else. The smell, not in the room, on him. His breath felt stronger. His hands carried the scent even after washing. And because he lived in a condo community where every afternoon meant cards with neighbors, he suddenly became self-conscious. This is the part nobody glamorizes online. Food monotony doesn't just hit your body. It starts affecting your social confidence. And now we need to talk about sodium, because this is where some seniors get into trouble without realizing it. Sardines can be healthy, yes. But canned sardines can also carry a meaningful sodium load depending on the brand and packing liquid. One tin may not be a disaster. 3 or 4 tins a day is a different conversation. Especially if you're over 60, already dealing with high blood pressure, fluid retention, heart failure, or you've been told to watch your salt. Suddenly, the same food you chose to eat clean may be pushing sodium far higher than you intended. And that can show up as thirst, puffiness, a heavier feeling, or higher blood pressure readings. Let me tell you about Gloria in Columbus, Ohio. Gloria was 74 and had spent years learning how sensitive her body was to salt. Chinese takeout one evening, and the next morning her rings felt tight. So when she tried a sardine-heavy eating pattern for several days, she expected the scale to go down and stay down. Instead, her experience got confusing. She lost weight early, then felt puffy in her fingers by day 4. Was she gaining fat? No. Was the diet not working? Not exactly. She was experiencing 2 opposite forces at once. Lower carbs were lowering water at first, while the sodium from repeated canned fish was pulling water in another direction later. That's not failure. That's physiology. Now here's where people often ask me, but doctor, if sardines are so healthy, why did I feel so weird? Because nutrients and balance are not the same thing. Sardines bring some genuinely powerful nutritional benefits. Over 5 days, you may take in a strong dose of omega-3 fats, solid protein, plenty of B12, useful selenium, and if you eat the bones, meaningful calcium. For some older adults, that can actually feel good. More fullness, fewer cravings, less junk food, less snacking, a more stable appetite. Sometimes even a calmer feeling between meals. But the body is never looking at one nutrient in isolation. It is always asking the bigger question, what's missing? And by day 4, that question gets louder. You may feel proud, disciplined, even a little amazed that you've made it this far. But day 4 is often when the experiment stops feeling clever and starts feeling narrow. You may miss texture. You may miss warmth. You may miss chewing something crisp. You may miss sweetness. You may miss the emotional ease of a normal breakfast. And when that happens, your body begins telling you something important. Not that sardines are bad. That repetition has a cost. Restriction has a cost. Simplicity can help for a moment, but monotony becomes stress if you stretch it too far. Elaine felt this on day 4 in a way she didn't expect. She told her daughter, "I'm not craving cake. I'm craving an apple." And I love that sentence because it reveals the truth. Her body wasn't screaming for junk. It was asking for freshness. Water, fiber, natural carbohydrate, plant compounds, variety. That is a very different signal. And older adults should pay attention to that signal because it is often wiser than the latest diet trend. When you start longing for simple whole foods instead of processed treats, your body may be trying to guide you back toward balance. Now, we arrive at the part most people get wrong. They think the main danger in a sardine-only challenge is mercury. It sounds logical. Fish, metal contamination, toxic buildup. But for 5 days in most people, that is not the biggest issue. Sardines are generally considered a lower mercury seafood choice because they're small and low on the food chain. So if you came into this video thinking, this is obviously terrible because of mercury, that's not where the real short-term trouble usually begins. The real trouble begins with absence. No fiber, no produce, no dietary variety, sometimes too much sodium. And in some people, too much purine load. That last one matters more than many seniors realize. Sardines are higher in purines than some other foods, and purines break down into uric acid. So if you have gout, a history of gout, kidney problems, or you've been warned about uric acid, a 5-day sardine challenge is not a harmless little experiment. It can be exactly the wrong idea. Let me tell you about Walter in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Walter was 67, loved seafood, had one gout attack years earlier, and thought it was ancient history. 3 days into a sardine-heavy streak, his big toe started throbbing at night. That old fire came back. He hadn't been unlucky. He'd been predictable, and this is why blanket health advice is so dangerous. The internet says sardines are healthy. True. Then someone hears that and concludes that more sardines must be healthier. False. Health is not a straight line like that. A food that supports one person can bother another. A food that helps in moderation can backfire in excess. A food that fits beautifully into a Mediterranean-style eating pattern can become unbalanced when it crowds out everything else. And seniors have less room for those mistakes because medications, hydration status, kidney function, blood pressure, and digestive resilience all matter more after 60. By day 5, the picture usually becomes clear. If you ate nothing but sardines for 5 days, you might end up lighter on the scale, less snacky, and impressed by how filling one humble food can be. You may even feel a little mentally sharper if you've stopped grazing on processed carbs all day. But you may also feel tired of eating, thirsty, constipated, socially awkward, a little fish-scented, or uncomfortably aware that your body wants something green and fresh. In other words, you don't end day 5 transformed into a new person. You end day 5 educated. And education is valuable if you interpret it correctly. So what is the biggest lesson? It's this: sardines are powerful, but they are not complete. That is the sentence I want burned into your mind. Sardines are powerful, but they are not complete. They are a terrific supporting actor. They are a terrible entire cast. You can respect their protein, their omega-3s, their calcium, their vitamin D, their low mercury profile, and still admit that no single food should pretend to be breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, and strategy all at once. And once you understand that, you stop falling for extreme nutrition theater. Let me go one layer deeper because this matters especially for the audience over 60. When you're younger, your body can sometimes absorb a silly food stunt and bounce back by Monday. When you're older, your margin is narrower. A few days of constipation can feel miserable. A few days of higher sodium can affect how you feel in your shoes, your fingers, or your blood pressure log. A gout flare can steal your mobility. Dehydration can make dizziness worse. And if you're on medication, an abrupt diet shift can create effects you didn't plan for. So yes, a 5-day sardine challenge may sound simple, but simple and gentle are not the same word. Now, I also want to be fair. There is a reason some people come out of this experiment feeling impressed. Sardines really do offer benefits that many American adults need more of. A lot of people eat too little omega-3 fat. A lot of people don't get enough vitamin D, calcium, or B12 from food. A lot of people overeat processed snacks and undereat protein. So when they replace cookies, chips, pastries, and takeout with sardines for a few days, of course they feel some improvement. The question is not whether replacing junk with sardines helps. It often does. The question is whether replacing everything with sardines helps. And that answer is much more limited. Robert learned this by the end of his 5th day. He didn't feel harmed. He didn't feel healed. He felt corrected. That's the word he used. Corrected. He realized sardines were not the problem. His old eating pattern had been the problem. Too much convenience food, too many crackers and frozen meals, too little protein, too little real food. The sardine challenge shocked him into seeing that, but it also taught him he didn't need an extreme solution. He needed a sustainable one. Sardines twice a week? Great. Sardines on whole grain toast with tomato and lemon? Great. Sardines over salad with white beans? Excellent. Sardines as a 5-day solo act? That lesson was enough after one try. So, if you're wondering whether you should do this yourself, here's my honest answer. If you are healthy, curious, well-hydrated, and you understand what you're doing, 5 days of only sardines is unlikely to be the catastrophe many people imagine. But it is also not the miracle some influencers promise. And if you have gout, kidney disease, uncontrolled high blood pressure, sodium sensitivity, digestive problems, a fish allergy, or you've been medically told to follow a specific diet, then this is not a smart experiment. It is a needless gamble, and at your age, needless gambles are not a sign of discipline. They are a sign of poor judgment. What should you do instead? Take the lesson without copying the stunt. Use sardines as part of a strong routine, not as the routine. Add them to lunch a couple of times a week. Pair them with foods that solve the exact problems a sardine-only challenge creates. Fiber from beans, oats, berries, greens, vegetables, and whole grains. Potassium-rich produce. Water, variety. A calmer sodium balance. In other words, keep the strengths and remove the extremes. That is how older adults win. Not with punishment, not with trendy challenges, with steady, intelligent consistency. And that kind of consistency is boring only until you realize how powerful it is. Before we finish, I want to leave you with one final image. Imagine 2 plates. On one plate, 6 open tins of sardines and nothing else. On the other, a simple American lunch. Sardines, sliced tomato, a little olive oil, lemon, whole grain toast, maybe a side salad or a bowl of beans. Same fish. Completely different effect on your body over time. One is a stunt. The other is a pattern. One makes a headline. The other supports a life. And when you're building health after 60, the pattern will always matter more than the headline. So I ate nothing but sardines for 5 days, and here's what happened. I got a lesson in fullness, a lesson in rapid water loss, a lesson in food boredom, a lesson in sodium, a lesson in digestion, a lesson in how quickly the body notices missing fiber and variety, and most of all, a lesson in why healthy foods are not magic when you use them in unhealthy ways. Sardines can absolutely help your heart, your bones, your protein intake, and your nutrient status. But the smartest thing they teach you is not how to eat only sardines. It's how to stop eating like everything else in your kitchen is doing the damage. If this helped you, share it with someone who loves health hacks a little too much. And if you want more clear, practical guidance for staying strong and independent after 60, subscribe to the channel. Take care of yourself, protect your routine, and I'll see you in the next video.